Alright, so let's get this nanofilter installed, and the first installation method we're going to show is the Undersink installation method. Now basically when you get your nanofilter, your cord is going to be tied up. The first thing you're going to do, you see there's a hole here on top of the bracket. You're going to take the plug and you're going to feed it through that hole. And just go ahead and pull the plug all the way through so we can plug it in from the back end. This is probably a good time to go over what tools you'll need for this install. The tools are very basic. You'll need a basic set of pliers. You may or may not need a screwdriver, but it's good to have one handy, Phillips head. And then the last thing you'll need is a drill with a 1/4 inch drill bit. It can be a wood drill bit, it could be a metal drill bit, just a basic drill bit, because you're going to drill into the plastic drain tube inside the bottom of your cabinet. Alright, so you'll notice on the nanofilter, and what we're going to do is I'll do most of the install on top of the cabinet so it's easier for everyone to see, and then only when it's absolutely necessary will I go under the cabinet. So the first thing we want to do with the nanofilter is we want to get the membranes installed. And rather than opening these sealed ones, I have a couple. Oh, never mind. Those are sealed as well. So we'll just open the membranes right now. I guess this is the other tool that you'll need, is a set of scissors. One thing that I'll highly recommend is before handling these membranes with your hands, make sure you wash and sanitize your hands. If you have Chanson acid water, you can spray the acid water on your hands. If not, use some kind of alcohol or something to make your hands sterile before touching these membranes. Alright, then we'll just turn the nanofilter around to the back. And you'll see here the two bottom canisters are where we're going to insert these membranes. And first, I'm going to take off this nut right here on the right hand side of the upper canister. Now you may or may not be able to loosen it with your fingers. If not, grab a wrench and lightly clamp this and give it a turn or two. By the time you've done the second turn, you should be able to loosen it by hand. Go ahead and remove the nut and pull the hose out. At this point, I want you to take your fingers behind the cap and pull out. It's only sitting in a bracket, so this canister should be able to pull out fairly easily. And take your hand and grip the canister and unscrew the cap. Once the cap has been removed, take your membrane out and you'll see there's two sides to this. There's one side with double O-rings and there's one side with a big black ring. This is going to be facing outward like this, and we'll go ahead and insert it right now. And what you want to do is push it all the way in until that front piece is flush with the outer edge. Once it's in, you won't be able to pull it back out. You'll have to actually take a pliers and grip that plastic end. We'll show that in filter maintenance section of this video. Go ahead and install the cap. There's no need to put this on super tight. Just grab the body, give it a good strong turn, and snap it back into its bracket. Reinsert the hose, push it down as far as it will go, and then lightly put on the nut. Now something I'll mention to you about these plastic nuts, if they don't feel like they're going on easy, don't force them, because you don't want to strip the threads. If it's not going on easy, restart it, back it off. You might have to turn or push the tube a little bit so it's lined up and it's going on straight onto the threads. Once you've gotten that nut down as hard as you can with your fingers, then take the wrench and do one full additional turn, and that should be it. You should never have to super tighten these. Now we'll do the same thing on the opposite side for the bottom canister. Alright, and we'll just take the nano membrane and slip it directly in, pushing it as far in as it will go, and then we'll take the cap and reinstall it. Push it back into place, reinsert the tube, and put the nut back on. Once the nut is on, go ahead and give it one full additional turn with the wrench. Just so it feels nice and snug. Now you're going to see that you have two empty holes on the back. This is going to be your drain line. The other one is on this top filter on the right hand side. This is where your clean water comes out. So you have your drain line here, you have your clean filtered finished product right here. And so we'll just, rather than cut my brand new roll of tubing, I'll just use some of the spare tubing that we have down here today. And I'll install this here. This is going to be our drain line, and you can hand tighten this nut. This is not a pressure line, so you do not need to put a wrench on this nut. Just tighten it down with your hand, and that's as far as you need to go. Looks like I'm going to need some more tubing anyway, so we'll go ahead and we'll cut this roll of tubing open. Be careful when you're cutting the tubing that the scissor does not cut into the tubing itself. Now, a little note about cutting this tubing. You can use a regular scissors. That's fine. You can also use a razor knife. Whatever you use, make sure it's sharp. You'll notice when I cut with the scissors, the end of the tubing gets flat or it's cut on an angle. It's very, very important to cut the tubing square, not on an angle, but cut it square. Once the tubing is cut, take the edge of your scissor and put it in the tip and give it a little twist to bring it back to a circle again. Now you see the end of the tube is nice and round. This is how the tubing needs to be when you make a connection somewhere. Alright, so we'll take the second roll length of tubing and we'll insert it into the end here, and again I'm going to make sure that my end is cut square and that it's nice and round. If there's any burrs or anything on the end of the tubing, you can snip them off. So we'll go ahead and push the tubing in as far as it will go, and then we'll tighten this nut down, and we will take a wrench and do another full turn on that nut. Alright, so now we have our drain line and we have our filtered water line. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this at a nice length here. One thing you'll notice is there's more than enough tubing included in your kit to run it almost as far as you need to go. Now, the next place we're going to go is to our water supply. Now, under everyone's sink, you're going to have shut-off valves. They may or may not look just like this. They may or may not have steel braided lines coming from your faucet down to them. No matter what, all of you have these shut-off valves under your sink, and this is how you're going to supply the water to the nano filter and then to the ionizer. The first thing you want to do is locate the cold water. Usually it's on the right hand side. Some of you have new kitchens and you'll see multiple faucets under there. The cold is almost always on the right hand side. The easiest way to find out is to shut the valve off, turn the water off, go to your cold faucet, open it up. If there's cold water coming out, that is not the cold that you just shut off. That's the hot that you shut off. Shut off the opposite one. But either way, make sure it is the cold line that you're shutting off. You've let the pressure out of the line by opening the faucet, and now you can get yourself a towel or a bowl and put it under here, because some water is going to drip out when you take this off. You'll probably need your pliers to remove this. Now, this is a good opportunity to say, if you're in a very old home or you have old rusty plumbing under the sink and you're going to shut this valve off, and as hard as you can turn it, it's still dripping, this is either the time to call a plumber or to replace the shut-off valve. Because if it's leaking and it's that badly rusted, you're only asking yourself for problems or a potential flood in your kitchen. Do not install our product or any other filtration device to old rusty plumbing parts. All right, now once this is removed, you're going to see there's a couple of pieces inside this kit. These are the two that we want to locate. These two basically do the same exact job. They're just for different sizes of the shutoff valve. Now, out of the hundreds of faucets and shutoff valve combinations out there, we cannot include a piece for every possible combination. So if these don't fit, give us a call. We probably have something that does. These are the two most common sizes. In this case, the gray one is going to fit our 1/2-inch thread. And you'll see all I have to do is twist it on there till it's nice and snug. This does not need to be super tight, nor does it need a wrench. Just hand tighten it on until it's just nice and snug. And then we'll take our faucet supply and screw it right back on to the top of this fitting. Now once it's screwed on there, you can go ahead and take a wrench and give this one turn. Do not over tighten this, because again, this is a hand tight joint up here as well. Now, for those of you who have never dealt with a quick connect fitting before, I'm going to show you how these work. The tubing simply inserts to the end and pushes all the way in, and that's it. You're done. This is now a sealed plumbing connection. To remove the tubing, you'll see there's a collar on the outside of the fitting. Take your fingernail, press in on the collar towards the fitting, and pull the tubing out. So you'll notice that the tubing cannot be pulled out unless you're pressing in on the collar. This is how quick connect fittings work. Actually, in your Nano kit, you have a combination of both. You have quick connect fittings, and then you have these compression fittings with the nut that actually tightens down. Now, we have our water supply ready to go. All I need to do now is cut another length of tubing. And again, since I cut it, I'm going to clean out the end. And let's go ahead and turn the Nanofilter back around. And the very last connection we're going to make is on the front, which is the filter that is clear. This is the first filter on the right hand side. There's a connector right here. There will be a nut in place already on yours, and all you need to do is take this tube, push it in all the way, tighten this down as far as you can go by hand, and then take your pliers and do another full turn. So now we have our water inlet line feeding the water to the Nanofilter. We have our clean water line on the back, and then we have our drain line. Let's go ahead and finish this install. And I hope you're starting to realize now this is a lot easier than you thought it was going to be. Alright, so the nano-filter will fit under the sink in many different positions, but for today we'll just put it in this basic way. We don't have an electrical outlet in our display unit here, but of course the last thing you're going to do in this whole installation is plug in the electric line. We're going to take our water supply line, which is right here, and we're going to simply push this in to our water connection right here. Now with Quick Connect, again, you want to push the tubing in as far as it will go till it won't go anymore. Now you have water supplied to the nano-filter, and the only thing we need to do now is hook up our drain connection and our accessory faucet, and we're done. This Ziploc baggie with the plastic piece, the black plastic piece, this is called a drain saddle. And you'll see there are multiple parts and pieces in here. These are the two main parts. You have the back and you have the front. They're going to clamp around this pipe right here, just like this. You'll also have a pad with a backing on it. You'll peel this backing off, this yellow backing, and stick the pad right in the center with the glue side facing this way. Stick that pad right in there, and you'll notice that the center is a punched out hole. You can just pull out the foam out of the center of this. So that'll stick in there. The other two pieces are just 2 nuts and 2 bolts. And you'll see on the back of this piece that the nuts can actually be pre-inserted right into the slots. So it makes the installation very, very easy. Now for the video, I'm not going to stick this in place, but remember, yours has to have it in place. And all I'm going to do now is clamp this on my drain line. It really can go anywhere except this bottom piece. This is called your trap. You never want to drill or put anything into this bottom piece. So find the first upright piece that you could find, and we'll just use this one here. And again, for timeliness, and so I don't waste your time on this video, I'm not going to go ahead and bolt all this down. But basically, the line that connects here is coming off of this barrel fitting, the one with the black lever. This will go directly into this drain line, just like this. Just like we've been connecting all the other pieces. Push it in, hand tighten the bolt down, and then give it 1/2 of a turn with your wrench. Make sure that the bolts holding this to the pipe itself have been tightened down nice and firm. Alright, for the drain saddle, once that you have the drain saddle installed and you have both bolts tightened down, and remember, I'm not going to go through tightening all the bolts just to save you time on this. Take your drill, and it doesn't have to be this kind of drill, it could be any kind of drill, with a 1/4 inch drill bit. Take the cap off, set it aside, and run your drill right into this hole and drill through the front side of the drain only. Be careful that you don't push all the way through, because you're going to put a hole on the back side of the drain as well, which you don't want. So you're going to drill a hole here, and it should take you less than 2 seconds As soon as you pull the trigger, that hole should almost be drilled. And it doesn't matter if you have a plastic drain pipe or a metal drain pipe. It's not going to matter at all. Drill it right through. Now you have a hole going through into the drain. So when we take our drain tube from the Nano, slip our collar over it and put it in, that drain tube should actually push into the drain now. And now you can tighten this on, and that completes your drain saddle connection. So now you have your water supply and you have your drain line. The last thing we need to hook up is our clean water, which, just as a reminder, it's coming off the back right hand side of the very top filter. This is where our clean water comes in. And by the way, this lever here on the back, this lever always needs to be facing this way. We'll go through what this lever is for in the maintenance and filter change section of this video. And again, in this video, I've left my hoses nice and long. I would recommend that you leave enough length on these hoses so when it comes to 12 months and it's time to change the filters, you can easily take this out from inside your cabinet, maybe put it on the floor on a cookie sheet, something like that, to prevent water from spilling, and then you can work on this out on the floor and easily change the filter. So I would leave enough tube length to be able to pull it out completely. Alright, so the very last connection now goes into your accessory faucet. Now, that accessory faucet comes in a kit, and the kit has an extension ring on there. So the base of this faucet requires a 3/4 inch hole if you just wanted to drill a hole to put the faucet in. If you have a standard hole, it would be 1 3/8 inches. That's the standard faucet size hole. If you have a larger hole that you need to place this in, that's what this ring is for. So basically, take the ring out, put it on the bottom here, and that will cover a standard size faucet hole. Some people take a soap pump or something additional on the sink and they remove that so they can install this. So it's either a 3/4 inch hole for the threads or it's an 1 3/8 inch standard faucet hole. Once this is inserted into the hole, basically you're going to open this other baggie here, and the parts in there are a rubber washer and a nut. The rubber washer is going to go from under the sink this way, and then the smaller nut, there's 2 nuts in this kit, and a lock washer. So the lock washer will go next, and then the smaller nut, you'll put that on and tighten it up. And again, we're under the sink now, so we're tightening this under the sink until the faucet is nice and snug. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the second nut with the threads facing upward. You'll see there's a solid collar and then there's threads. The threads face upward, slip it down over the tube, and that only leaves you with 2 pieces in this kit. You have a round collet which will slip over the tube, and then you'll have this little pin which will slip into the end of the tube. So you've got your nut, your collet, and your pin at the end of the tube. Now remember, we're under the sink now. Slip this up into the body itself and just push the nut up onto the thread. Tighten it down hand tight, and then take your wrench and give it another half turn. So now your nano filter is fully installed, and to get your, and remember, you're going to plug it into the electricity. There's one more thing that we're going to do before you start drinking your water. You're going to go ahead and turn this faucet on. Remember, your Nano's plugged in. You're going to turn this on. You should hear the pump kick on within about a minute or so. And once it's running and there's water dribbling out of that faucet, you're going to take this filter and you're going to tilt it all the way up on its left leg, and you're going to hold it there for a full minute. Make sure it's a full minute. What you're doing is you're bleeding the air out of the membrane chambers. Once you've done that for a minute, then tilt it up to this side and hold it there for a minute as well. Once that's done, the installation is complete. I would run a full gallon of water down the drain or use it as plant food, but don't drink the first gallon. Run a full gallon through there, and then the water should be ready for drinking. You'll notice that there was also 2 other pieces in the installation kit. Actually 3 other pieces. 4 other pieces. You have a roll of Teflon tape, which in this case you're generally not going to need. You have a shut-off valve, which is for a different type of installation. You have a 3/8 to 1/4 inch union, which is for installing the Nano with the tank, which we're going to go over in the next chapter. And you have this piece, which is for using the tank, which we'll go over in the next chapter. Outside of that, you've got nano-filtered water for a good 12 months now. We'll see you in the next chapter.